Gabe's Filmcast is not intended for kids. As far as this episode's concerned, spoilers ahead. Hey, and welcome to Gabe's Filmcast. Well, kind of. I mean, the movie theaters are closed, so it's not really the usual thing. I mean, I can't go to the theater and let you guys know what I think or anything like that. I mean, just there are no more movies. I mean, they're they're done.
So the theaters are all closed, but rumor has it you caught one last flick before social distancing took hold. I'm still curious, what was your last theater romp?
Well, you shouldn't listen to rumors and all that kind of thing. You really shouldn't.
Did you and Vin have a good time?
You set me up, didn't you? It's on the screen behind me.
Let me make it up to you with the lowdown. Ray Garrison is a soldier recently killed in action and brought back to life by the RST Corporation. With an army of nanotechnology in his veins, he has become an unstoppable force, stronger than ever and able to heal instantly. However, RST, having invested a fortune in his development, lays claim to their property, and along with it, Ray Garrison's mind. Ray is now the techno-natural hero, BloodShot. Of course, how Ray died will demand the powerful intervention of his resurrected form. All hell is set to break loose in this Vin Diesel action adventure based off the Valiant comic book series.
Thank you, Holly. And yes, I did go see this in theaters before the lockdown. And it went a little something like this.
It's time to watch BloodShot! I've been looking forward to this. I'm a Vin Diesel fan. You're a Vin Diesel fan. I mean, you might be a Vin Diesel fan. You clicked on a video about a Vin Diesel movie. I'm going to assume you might be a fan, or perhaps you're a fan of the comic book. Right. It is time. It is time to buy a $25 soda and watch Vin Diesel be Bloodshot.
Yep. 13. It's like I'm walking my last mile. What awaits me? It's so quiet in here. Usually they're already playing previews. It's only about a minute before the movie starts. And as you can see, it's completely dead in here. No one's here. Yeah. Alright, so BloodShot is a movie. It's on film. You can view it. Or, as situation would have it, you could actually go ahead and stream it right now. It's not that it's a bad movie. It's not bad. It's enjoyable and whatnot. It's just painfully average. It's a painfully average film that only momentarily reaches up past that average level, mostly because of Vin and because of a couple of twists that, while somewhat predictable, do give the context of all the tropes they use. It puts it in a context that somewhat feels original. And I hesitate to say that because it really, there's nothing here that you haven't seen in so many other sci-fi stories and action movies, but there's just a little bit of originality mixed in there, enough and enough with the performances to kind of get you to accept the world that you're looking at to the degree where it suspends your disbelief momentarily. I say momentarily because the rest of the time the film just asks way too much of you, in the sense that the technology isn't quite explained. It's kind of like, well, we can do whatever because nanotech. Nanotech is like the magical thing, kind of like Tony Stark's armor. You know how Tony Stark originally started off as a grounded hero. I mean, you could believe that Tony Stark could walk in our world. By the time Infinity War came about, basically he was a magical techno overlord. Well, that's kind of what BloodShot is. He can do all sorts of things because
it's nanotech. You like it?
Nanotech. Thing is, the MCU had over 20 films by which to develop escalating stakes, all the while teasing our suspension of disbelief. The gradual buildup was satisfying. Even in that original Iron Man flick, there was an organic progression to it. BloodShot doesn't feel that way. Anyway, if you go ahead and just buy into that whole thing, then you accept it and the movie kind of makes sense, right? Except that they set up certain rules and then break those rules because, well, if they didn't break those rules, our hero couldn't sustain himself going forward into what I'm sure they wanted, which was sequels, which they're not going to get. It's not so much that they needed to explain nanotech. It's that the rest of the film has fantastical but grounded elements of technology. It feels like a fantasy, but one that you can buy into. The nanotech seems so far ahead of the film's orientation that it comes off feeling like magic. Nothing wrong with magic, I happen to fancy it, but I can't help but feel there is a lack of congruency here. As I said, they set up certain rules of limitations for our hero and then solve for them because sequel. While a hero overcoming his limitations is a classic element of storytelling, that doesn't actually happen here. To begin with, BloodShot did nothing to earn his power, and it's unclear if he even deserves said power. It's given to him by a technological genius, Dr. Emil Harting, who is played well by Guy Pearce, who also played a similar character, one of Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3. Deja vu. Anyway, back to BloodShot. With his new power, he is often reckless, and ultimately gets himself killed again, constantly ignoring his newly established limitations. I don't know, maybe he wants to die. But after this second death, he's resurrected yet again by another techno-science type guy. He didn't earn this, it was just given to him. Every time this guy gets himself killed, someone brings him back and hands him more power, so that he can move carelessly forward into sequels, unlikely ones. Despite Vin's charms, this character just kind of falls flat on the screen. I have zero hope for a follow-up. If you want an action movie with sci-fi elements and you want to see Vin Diesel kick some ass, this movie will work out for you. If you're a fan of the comic book, I actually can't address that because I actually, despite being a comic book enthusiast, am not familiar with BloodShot or with Valiant in general. But I will dive into that. In fact, hang on a moment. Okay, let's catch up with BloodShot. He's been around for quite some time, and I don't really have any recommendations, so I'm gonna go with Setting the World on Fire. I managed to get through about 6 issues and decided I could speak regarding the character. Keep in mind, that's a very small sample size. If anyone watching this has some BloodShot recommendations, by all means, tack them onto the comments because I'd love to hear them. BloodShot himself has even more magical type abilities in the comic, such as shapeshifting, something I'm glad I didn't see in the film. That being said, the comic depicts a world in which such abilities blend better. It's not as jarring here. They also dive deeper into why BloodShot's nanotechnology is so special. There is even some lore around a nanotech apocalypse, a pending nanotech apocalypse. I mean, think The Day the Earth Stood Still, the one with Keanu Reeves. That sort of nanotech apocalypse. Unfortunately, BloodShot as a character left me bored. He himself isn't very interesting. He is kind of a blank slate. And while that can factor into these types of stories and be done well, he's just bland. He does pick up some allies, but their relationships feel rushed and forced. Except for Pulse. I started to really like her, and she actually works really well with BloodShot. BloodShot himself is derivative of Wolverine. Only, not anywhere near as cool. Pulse has an X-23 vibe to her. Their dynamic is reminiscent of Wolverine and X-23. Only that relationship had some real emotional weight to it. Case in point, the source material for Wolverine and X-23 yielded a masterpiece in the film of Logan, while Bloodshot, it's no masterpiece. If you want a great story about psychological conditioning and manipulation, about corporations building military weapons and exploiting innocence, read anything that's X-23. If you can get her with Wolverine, now you've got something special. And there you go. Anyway, is this movie a recommend from me? Yeah. If you're at home and you want to watch something action-oriented with sci-fi elements and a tinge of originality, something that just breaks up the monotony of the day, you just need something new to watch, this will work out. This will do you. But if you were planning to go out to a movie theater to see this and pay 15, 20 bucks, yeah, I would have to tell you to go ahead and pass on it and just wait for it to hit streaming, which it has. Now, how much you're paying for it, depending on where you're streaming it, that's going to vary. Not quite sure what the price ranges are, but heck, give me a moment. Okay, here it is, and it is $20. And I did a little research, and it seems to be $20 everywhere. So if you watched this film and you enjoyed it, $20 may be worth it for you. But if it's your first time seeing it, this isn't a rental fee. You have to buy it, and $20 may be a bit steep for this film. So just be cautious that you may not like it as much as you would expect, and you may kind of regret spending those $20. So that's going to do it for Gabe's film cast, at least for right now. But I am going to dive deep into some 80s flicks, some 90s stuff, some contemporary things too, do a couple of retrospectives, revisit some stuff, and really just dive deep into film culture. And I hope to see all of you coming along with me on this journey. Stay safe. Be cool. I'm not going to say it. Stay in school.